Hello, remote storage community. This is Jacob. I've recently been working on Armadietto, our remote storage Node.js offering. I've been extending it with various middlewares to make Armadietto more production ready so that members of the community can stand up their own Armadietto clusters or remote storage clusters and pay us or charge a small fee for the service. Towards that end, I've integrated the pay to my app free open source widgets, which is another open source I'm involved in, and I stood up the cluster at overhide.io. I stood up two clusters. So I stood up a testnet for fake payments, which charges $1.99 fake payment either in ethers or US dollars, and a mainnet that charges real payments for 222 megabytes. I charge $4.20 for 1 year. The users can log in with their social login or their Web3.js wallet, MetaMask, for example, or just a secret key, which is just an Ethereum private key that the password manager remembers. And um, towards that, since I do want web app developers to I want them to make remote storage apps, and I want them to have the freedom to not necessarily offer everything for free in their apps, to have the ability to do in-app purchases. So remote storage is sort of the flagship of the stack of overhide.io libraries, and also towards that end, I wrote a tutorial for web developers that are coming to remote storage to sort of get introduced to remote storage, what it is. And I based it off of my favorite drinks, but I made it a little bit simpler, and I just went through the code a bit. So the first app that the new developers will write is just a regular remote storage app that allows them to set state in their app that gets stored in local storage and remote storage, which is a cake choice, either Carrot or Tiramisu or Black Forest. And of course, they can connect in a regular fashion with their remote storage, or well, I mean, there's no or. That's pretty much it. Now, if they choose to connect with the new clusters, for example, text rs overhide.io, they don't need a username in front, so that's the main change. Just because the username is what comes from the actual Ethereum address. It's the Ethereum address that gets tied to their social login for US dollars, or their MetaMask login also for US dollars, or their actual Ethereum login. So you can see that MetaMask pops up, but I'm gonna dismiss that, and I can just log in with social login with Microsoft. And right, so so now the username doesn't show up here, but I'm connected, and I'm syncing my cake choice. So that's it for the first app. The second app that's in this tutorial is an actual app that has in-app purchases right in the app. So it's not just that the RS server has a fee. And in this one, what you can see is an additional button here, which is an in-app purchase button. And as you can see, I got automatically logged in with and now I actually showed the Ethereum address just because this version of the app uses what I call a lucchetto.js, which connects to to the remote storage clusters that are enabled for remote storage with in-app purchases, which I call them Luchetto extended. So it's sort of like Armadietto plus Luchetto. Luchetto is the padlock on the locker, and but I mean it's the same thing here. You just log in, except when the web app itself, the remote storage web app itself, also pulls in the Luchetto.js, which is basically 2 lines of code, and I talk about them in the tutorial. Then the remote storage widget also gets a nice little extension dropdown, and you can select a Luchetto extended server. So for now, of course, and since this is on a test net, then it shows the test ones. On a regular, on a main net, it wouldn't have the test and this local host wouldn't show up. I tried to, I know 5apps.com is not Luchetto extended, but I tried to put them here, but unfortunately 5apps.com requires a username in front, so it doesn't quite work well with this setup. But if a user chooses, for example, something from the dropdown, they don't have to remember their username. They just go in here. So I'll log in with social again. They click to log in, and then they get, if they didn't pay already. So if so right now, right, remote storage logged in, and tiramisu was my favorite cake before, and we also detect that I already paid for this NFT. So when I click it, I see the cake is a lie. But I mean, let's just do a fake login. If I logged in with, I mean, these are all make pretend logins on the testnet. But let me just generate a new login and continue. Then I'm presented with a payment of $1.99, which is for my storage. On the testnet, it's $1.99 for 3 days. But these are all fake money, so I'll just put in a fake email address. And this is a stripe.com. This is a stripe.com widget that all the information that for the fake data is here. So it's 424242 for the Visa. Let's put in a fake credit card, make the payment, and you can see it's a test mode, it's testnet. So we log in and we get back to the app. This is our new user address, and from now on, this is what will get remembered. And now I can play, I'm a new user, I can play with the app, I can set my cake, and I can, this through the lucchetto.js, this gets connected with the in-app purchase button, which is explained in the tutorial as well. So if I click this, there's no more login. There are no more extra prompts. I just get asked to, to pay for this NFT. The payment is the same as before. Now, if I log in with my 5apps, which is totally fine, right? This is a remote storage app after all. Oh, this was GitHub. Sorry. Allow. Then right. So now I'm here. I can set my cake as usual. It syncs no problem. But I can also still use the in-app purchase. And at this point, though, I have to, I'm logged in with my 5apps for my storage, but the in-app purchases are done with my social, for example, or whatever else, which is a little clunkier, right? It's a lot nicer when I come in here with a Luchetto extended remote storage server, but nevertheless, it's completely usable, and it's an option, right? This is just an option to do this. And the in-app purchases, let me go back to the website. So Luchetto.js is sort of the glue that you put in your app to tie these things together. And it's just a couple of lines for a non-remote storage app to leverage it, and same number of lines for a remote storage app to leverage it. And to actually put in the in-app purchases, to sort of onboard the in-app purchases, there's a bunch of instructions here, what's necessary. And one of the things that's necessary is going to this queue setup app, which is once again a remote storage app. I guess it detects I'm connected with 5apps, but I actually have to connect to an actual Luchetto extended remote storage server for this to work, because that's what will serve the in-app metadata to the app. And that's all explained at the Luchetto website. So the Luchetto enabled website is the overhide.io fork of Armadietto has an extra folder here called Luchetto, and it sort of explains everything. And this will hopefully one day be in Armadietto proper, but currently this fork is ahead of Armadietto with the PRs that it actually has in it. So I have to wait for those PRs to get pulled into Armadietto, and then I will create the last PR to actually pull in the pay to my app widgets. But for now, I'll just maintain this fork. I link to it from various places until the day that this can be part of Armadietto proper. Back to this Luchetto SKU on board, it's just an app where you can put in the various price points, the times, and the SKU names, and the data that you want behind that SKU, so that when you actually press this button, there's an actual piece of data that comes in from the Armadietto server. So let's take a look at that here quickly. So I'll press on the cake button, and I can see that it went to where to go, test RS over hide.io, right? And it got a piece of data that I onboarded there, which is just an OK. Right. Well, I'll end the video here. I'll put all the notes in probably remote storage forums, and I'll start syndication on the tutorial so that people can start learning more about remote storage and perhaps remote storage with in-app purchases. Thanks for your time.